today we're going to talk about what is a citation manager and how would you select the best one for what you're doing. So I'll turn it over to Bethany. She's going to start. My office is also out in this reference area on the second floor. Mine's 209F. And so if you ever have any questions as you're working on projects, all of you are IDT, and I'm the librarian that works with IDT. I also work with biology and education. So anytime, if you have questions, you can always stop at the desk and ask for help, or you can also just talk to me directly. All right, so Bethany, I'll turn it over to you for a minute.
Okay, so why should you choose a citation manager to cite your sources? So you need to give credit if you're going to use someone else's work. This avoids plagiarism. Plagiarism is if you're copying someone else's work and you don't give them any credit for it. You say, this is my idea. To demonstrate your research, and this shows that you're credible, that you have done all of the search that there is for it, that you have, you've done the work for it, and you're saying, I'm credible for it. And then lead other people to resources on the topic, and this is what you would say, the research trail. So if they want to go back and find those sources, they'll know where to find them. So when should you cite? If you're going to quote more than one word from somebody else, then you need to pair quotations around it. If it's something that your audience doesn't know, say, I want to say, I love pizza. I don't have to cite anybody for saying that. But if I say, Pizza Hut pizza has this many calories, you guys might not know that, so you would have to put that it was cited by this resource. When you're going to summarize or paraphrase, you need to say that this idea still came from this resource. Again, if it's somebody else's idea. And then if you're just not sure, cite it anyway, because it's always better to be safe than sorry. So what makes up a citation? I guess most of you are APA, right? Maybe MLA? So what are some citation parts?
The last name.
The name,
The title.
the
of
date,
Title.
yeah, title,
the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the journal name or the source name,
The
the page numbers,
number.
yeah.
Sometimes you'll put a link to maybe a resource.
With an article now, they've got the DOI, which is a direct object identifier. And what that means, and that goes at the end with APA, what that means is that each article that's out in a digital form has that direct number that goes to it on the website. And so that's, if you have it, you include it. If you can't find it, because some articles don't have them or they're not easy to find, then you just don't include it. So it just really just depends.
And this might also be different depending on if you're an APA, MLA, Chicago, or any of those other thousands of different formats. There'll be, oh, you have a question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we go far, can you tell me the definition of this acronym? I hear about it, but I don't know.
Oh,
what
the
it-
styles?
Yeah.
So APA is American Psychological Association, and that's the one that IDT uses, and a lot of education, psychology uses it, nursing uses it, SLIM uses it. And so it's just a style that's put out by the American Psychological Association. And we do have manuals at the desk for those. There's also going to be a workshop on the APA style in 3 weeks. There's a list of them out there, so that's one that is going to be coming up. MLA stands for the Modern Language Association, and that's usually used like in the arts and the humanities. So a lot of times it's used in English, of course, because or literature classes, because that's where it's coming from. But then it's also used in similar classes like that. Chicago comes from University of Chicago, and it is a lot of times some of the humanities areas too, like social sciences, a lot of those history. History typically uses the Chicago style. So those are just styles where there's a group. Yeah, it'd be nice if we all use the same, right? But we don't. I know I work with biology, and there's another one called Council of Science Editors in Biology. So they have a specific one that they use. But APA is what IDT uses.
Graduate students?
Graduate students, yes. So when you are working on something, you can actually get some of your citations from some of these different tools. So a lot, like our ESU Discovery tool, has citations built in. Our databases, a lot of times have citations, have a citation feature too. And Google Scholar is a place that you can go get citations. And I'll show you both of these. With these two, or all three of these, the one thing I do tell people is make sure that you double check everything. The biggest thing that I see sometimes that's wrong is like capitalization. They don't always capitalize the right thing. And so that would be the thing to double check. I will borrow citations from there, but then I always double check them to make sure they're right. So, for example, pull out of this for a second. Whoops. So this is our library discovery tool right here in the searching here. And it searches the books that are in our library and libraries around the world. And then it also searches a general database. So if I'm going to, I'll just do a search on educational technology. And I know you can't probably see the words I'm typing in. So if I like, and I'm just going to find a book or an article. I'll find an article on educational technology. And I'm just going to pick one. So let's say I like this first one. If I go over here, there's a little symbol that looks like a square with an arrow coming out of it. If I click on that, there's a thing that says Cite Record. And then I can choose APA. And what it has done is right here, it gives me the citation for that article that then I can just copy and paste that. Now, this one is not totally correct. This part is correct, but right here with that educational technology, the T should be a small t instead of a big one. Because in the title of an article, you only capitalize the first word or the first word after a colon. So that's where I'm talking about that you really need to just double check it to make sure it's correct. So that's one of them. A lot of times in our databases, if I go into, and since you guys are all IDT, I'm going to go into an educational database. And I'm just going to say, what if we put iPads in the classroom? And I like this first one, so I'm going to pick it. Same thing. Over here on the side, there's a lot of different things like print, email, save. Cite is one of those. So if I click on Cite over here on the side, it brings up a whole lot of different citation styles. With APA is the third one down. Once again, there it is. Once again, when I'm looking at this, that should be a big K instead of a little one. Inclusive classroom setting, I, C, and S should be little letters. Otherwise, that's right. So it's really, the biggest thing I notice is capitalization, is the thing that a lot of times is wrong. They also a lot of times don't have the DOI at the end. So if I find the DOI when I'm looking at the full text of the article, then a lot of times I'll type that in at the end. The other place that you can look for things, back here, is in Google Scholar. So let's say, going to search for something. The other thing I want to show you, sometimes when you're in Google Scholar, the full text will be there. That's just kind of a side note. But also, Google Scholar also has a citation feature. So, like if this is an article that I want, I could pick that one, but it looks like it might be Chinese, and I can't read Chinese. So, this one, I'll pick this one. And it has right here where it says cite. If I click on cite, any of these, I'll pick, could do that one. It gives me several citation ones. And so once again, there's that citation, same problem. A couple problems. One, you don't necessarily have to have the June there. This one has volume 2011 with that number 1. Although this is a conference, so that, let me try a different one. We'll just go with this one. Yeah, see, and this one doesn't have any page numbers with it, unless that's a book, but it doesn't have, so yeah, it's just going through and double checking to see which ones might be correct, might not, or, you know, taking them. Once again, this is a book or a conference, but only the O should be capitalized. The rest of these should be lowercase. Same thing up here, only the C in children's should be capitalized. So it's really just double checking capitalization for the most part on what's right and what's wrong. Any questions over those? Because I hit it kind of quick. Yeah.
Yeah, so in this case, we should not use this citation.
You can use it. I would go ahead and use it, copy it and paste it in, but then I usually go to a site like OWL, the Online Writing Lab for Purdue University, or I go to when I'm writing, because I'm working on a dissertation right now, so I'm writing too, I keep the APA manual, I bought a copy, and I just keep it sitting next to me the whole time. So if I'm not sure, you start remembering it after a while, but there's a lot of times I may not remember something, and it's like, oh, I need, because you can't memorize the book. Yeah, so I just look it up and make sure that it's right. And I just recommend doing that. Okay. Back here. So, what are citation managers? Citation managers are they're ways that you can, when you're working on a bigger project, or even if you're working on some smaller projects, because I've used them for my research for my dissertation. I've also used them for like work research, because something that's nice about a lot of the citation managers is if I'm creating a list of articles that are really good, maybe I'm not the only one that's interested in them. Maybe one of my colleagues or another librarian that I work with might be interested in them. So I can share those citations with that person. So more than one person can do it, but it also gives me a way to organize things. And maybe that's the librarian and me coming out, because I can organize things in folders and in sections. So I can also use it to create bibliographies, because it'll do that for me. And I can use it to actually put in the PDFs of the articles. So instead of having file folders and notebooks full of articles, or maybe piles of articles sitting on my desk, I can save them in there, either as a link or a PDF, and I can get back to it later. And so that's a really nice thing about a citation manager, is it allows you to do a lot of different things. So when you want to, like I said, you can you can also import the information. So a lot of those citations I showed you in our databases, they'll say like import to EndNote, or import to RefX, or import to another one. I can just pull that in, and then I don't have to type in all of that information. Or a lot of the citation managers now allow you, when you save a PDF in there, they will go out and there's hidden data in those PDFs. It will find that data and it will fill it out for you. Sometimes you have to change a couple little things, like maybe the document type, but usually it'll get it pretty, get everything in there where you need to. It also, like I said, it saves the links to the PDFs and other documents. You can create your bibliographies, and you can include your own notes. So one of the things that I was doing, in Zotero especially, I was writing notes in there. So as I read the article, the most important points that I got out of there, instead of putting it on a note card, I was putting it in Zotero. So let's say I'm sharing a project with Bethany, and I want to, she can see my notes and put my notes, or she can add her own notes. So if we're sharing a project and working on something, we can share that information together. So that makes it kind of nice too, that you can do a lot of different things. But yeah, you can put an abstract in there, but then you can also include your own annotations, which makes it really nice when you're working on different projects. All right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to kind of cover, we're going to talk about Zotero. We're not going to go into depth on it. We're going to talk about how you can use the word feature, talk a little bit about EndNote, and I'm missing, Mendeley. So we're going to hit 3 or 4 of them and just talk about them, and then if you want to know, we will, well, I'll let Bethany go, because Bethany's going to talk about Zotero first.
Okay, so we found some pros and cons. So pros for Zotero, they work with any browser, so if you're, I'm stuck with Firefox or Chrome, you can use either one, and you can download like a plugin that will go into the top of your browser. So if you're in an article, you can just like either right click and it'll give you the option, or you can click that little icon and say, add this to my Zotero. It syncs with a desktop client, so you can download a desktop client onto your personal computer, and then there's also the web client, and they'll sync with each other, they'll talk to each other. And so, say you're doing your homework here in the library, you can log in using the web client, and it will talk to the one that you have on your personal computer at home. And then you can upload the PDF into that annotation. Unfortunately, with Zotero, you can't write onto the PDF. Other cons were it doesn't have as much free storage as a lot of the others. It has a third-party mobile app, which could be beneficial if you're into using your mobile app, but versus the other citation managers, it has a third party, so it's not quite as like customer service friendly sort of thing. It doesn't work well on a Mac. I'm a Mac user. I actually use Zotero pretty well, but I hear a lot of people complain that, I can't get this to work like it does on the Windows, so that's always kind of an iffy. And then GIGO, which is something I just learned, but it's garbage in, garbage out. So if you put in the citation or you fill out the form and say you don't do it in an APA kind of format, when you submit it and import it out, it's going to still be in that format that you put it in. So do you want me to show it?
We can.
So this is Zotero. And apparently I've already logged in on this computer. I don't remember this, but. So this is kind of your main interface. When you log in, it'll always kind of go to this. I don't use Zotero as often as the other ones, so you'll see that these are really all that I have saved. But it gives you a nice list of titles, who the creator was, and when I added it to Zotero. Another really cool function is that you can, over here, I don't know how well you can see this. There, you can create folders with this little function here, and so you can kind of customize how you want to organize your own stuff. So since I'm in 2 different programs, I have my Library Science Graduate School folder, and then I have my IDT school folder. So, and the research would be different in both. To add something, you'll just click on the plus sign. This is kind of the long way to do it. If you don't use the icon, that would be up here, or the desktop client. And then you would just select whichever one you're going to use. And continue, and then you just kind of fill it out. And then when you get to the bottom, you can do attachments, and then you can even add notes So that if you're, if you wanna read it later, but you wanna focus on something specifically, or if you're in a group, like a collaboration group, you can leave notes for each other and say, hey, would you look at this and I'll look at this section or something like that. So this would be where you would create your group. If there's people that you wanna find, it's kind of like a social media sort of thing, in a sense. So, do you have any questions?
The other nice thing about being able to sync with a desktop client, let's say, so every once in a while we'll visit my father-in-law, and he lives out in western Kansas, and he has no internet connection. So, yeah, I know, my kids just about died. But when we go out there, if I'm working on something, I can still work on Zotero with the desktop client, and then when I get back to my house where I have an internet connection, then it will sync with it, and everything that I've done is saved and will go to the web version. The nice thing about the web version, with it syncing with that, let's say I'm somewhere else and I have a little bit of time to work, I don't have my computer with me, I can jump into the web version and it's accessible anywhere. So those are the couple things that make it really nice. And most of these that we're showing have web versions of them. Okay, so Mendeley is another one. Some of the nice things about Mendeley, and it's pretty similar to Zotero, is that it has 1 gigabyte of free storage, so much bigger storage, 10 times the storage actually. It has an Android and iOS mobile app. You can annotate on the actual PDF. So if you want to make notes or highlight different parts of the article that you're reading, you can go in and do that. And it does sync with Zotero. So one of the things that I was looking at said, this is not a lifetime commitment. When you pick one of these, if you find that you like one better, you can jump back and forth. So I've got accounts on all 3 of them. I have used Zotero more, but I also have an account where I've used on this one a little bit too. One of the things that's a con is when you output it, it's hard to edit it. In terms of what you're getting. So you're kind of stuck with what they give you, but you can copy paste like into a Word document and then edit it from there. So, I think we have the link on that. So it's Mendeley.com, and if I go in and sign in, it also is going more of it has like your Facebook type thing because it has a news feed running through there. They've got some article suggestions they give to you. There's a web importer where you can import references and documents from different databases. So there's a lot of different features in there that you can use. Same type of thing. If I want to set up a library, I can go through, I can load in my documents, I can put in where I can drag and drop them. So I've got one there, but let's say I'll just grab one. So I'm going to save this on the desktop so I can find it again. And then when I'm in here, I'll dismiss that, that's giving me how to do that. I can go out here to my desktop. And then I can find there's the article. I can just drag it over here and drop it in. Oops. I need to click on it. Now it's just opening it. Maybe I need to do it to a folder. Yeah, it's opening it, but it's not. But I can also go through, same type of thing, I can add documents, up here there's the add, and then I can add files, I can add folders, so I could pick it that way and add it. And there it's added it in. And so it's also on here, it's got the PDF there that it'll open up. But it will also has it listed in here. So on these, I can add notes over here, I can edit the listing. I can also, on all of these, if I want to create a bibliography, I can add it to a different folder. So it gives me a lot of different tools that I can do. There's a Word plugin, I can import from the web in the different browsers. And then if I want to, I can create, with all of these, we can create a create a bibliography. Same thing, I've got groups down here that I can use, so I can set up to work with groups. So lots of different features and options. We do not have, one of the things that Bethany didn't mention was Zotero, is we do have a Zotero workshop coming up on, is it April 6th?
Yeah.
April 6th. So we do, on April 6th, we are going to do a workshop on Zotero. If people are interested in a workshop like on Mendeley, go ahead and note that on your evaluation form, and we could do a workshop on Mendeley too. We just didn't schedule one this time. We went with the Zotero instead. EndNote. EndNote is really good for the sciences because it's built in with Web of Science. The Web of Science people are the ones that own it, so it works with like our Medline and biology. So I use it a lot with biology students. Once again, it's like Mendeley because you can highlight and annotate the PDFs. There's a lots of choices on citation styles. You know, some of them only give you like APA or MLA or Chicago or Turabian. This one has like lots of journals, so it has a whole variety of them. It does cost, except EndNote Basic, we have a student version available. So if you go to my EndNote web, because you're an ESU student, you can sign up with an account. And if it doesn't work to just go straight through here, you can go through our Web of Science and get there. And you'll see when I get into this one, I have a lot of science things in here. I don't necessarily use this one as much, but it's the same kind of thing. You can use the citation feature. You can organize them over here into folders. And then if I want to create a bibliography, same type of thing. I can, and I can add the PDFs to it, or I've got some find it online links. But I can also say I wanted, you know, so collecting them would be adding like new references or importing references, organize it, I can set up groups and I can share them if I want to, format, I can do there's a Cite While You Write plugin, or I can do the bibliography. So if I want to do the bibliography, I can say, let's do all my articles in this folder, and I want to use the biology style, and I want it to be in HTML, so it could just be here. I can, so preview and print, or save it. All right. Try text plain file. Not sure why it's not working, because it worked yesterday. Okay, preview and print. Well, I guess you'll just have to trust me on it. Because usually, so with preview and print, it'll create the bibliography for me. I'll just save it and open it that way. And we'll go to Word. Because Word's the next one, I think Word's the next one anyway. So also Word has its own citation feature built in, and I've been using this for my dissertation. The biggest frustrating thing I have with it is that sometimes it isn't as flexible as I would like. But with here, it's got this references section up there. So if I go ahead and click on references, and then like right here in the middle, it talks about managing sources. I can pick the style I want. I can insert citations. I usually have to type the information in, but if I want to insert a citation, and I don't have one, I can say add a new source because I don't have anything here. It brings up a form, and I can fill out that form with the source information, and then it'll put that in there. So it really is kind of nice when I've been going through, and then when I'm doing in-text citations. So if I'm going along typing my paper and I want to credit a source, I can do insert citation, and let's say we're going to add a new source. So I'm going to, and you have to, it's one of these two where it's GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. So if I click OK, it's going to automatically put that source in there. And then at the end of my paper, I can go in to bibliography, and every source I put in there, I can say add it, and it automatically creates my reference page for me. So that's kind of a neat feature, and like I said, I've been using it. My biggest issue is if I'm doing more than one citation in a parentheses, if I don't get them in there right the first time, I have to move them around because I can't move them around within it. So I have to take some out, put some in. But you can, here, you can change, I can edit the citation if I need to add a page number. So maybe I found this on page 156. It's a quote. It adds that page number in there. Or if I want to edit the source, that gets to this whole big source thing up there. Or I can even convert it to static text. And then that makes it a lot easier for me to edit and move things around. So this is also a pretty neat feature that allows you, and once you start using it, I'm not signed into Word here as me, but if we were on my computer, once you start using it and it recognizes you like your own personal computer, you'll start building a list of references in there. So on my computer in Word, it has all of the references that I've been using. So I can just go back and grab them and bring them over. I would have a huge list of things to choose from. And I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, insert. Where's my text thing? What happens when I put them in here? Yeah, see, there's those citations that we downloaded before. And there's still some because they took it there like this one. isn't totally right because of all the capitalization, but that's pretty easy for me to go back in and fix on some of those things. And like here, that should be italicized. So some of those things I'd have to go in and do a little bit of fixing on, but honestly, going back and fixing is a lot easier than typing it all in. All right. So, that's the word reference. Like I said, it's built into Microsoft Word. You can start building a master list of sources. It is difficult to edit unless you change it over to static text. It's limited to just APA, MLA, and Chicago. You can't save your PDFs in there. You can't import things in there, and it's limited to Word only. So I've kind of jumped back and forth a little bit. I'm on a next chapter, and I'm not necessarily using it for that. But if you have any questions, this is a way to contact either of us, and we will take this presentation. We have a library guide out on our website that has the workshops listed. We'll take this presentation, we'll put a link to it out there on that guide. The video that they're making will also be put out on the graduate student webpage. And then we also have some list of sources. So, any questions?
Yes, how can I go to the site? Where can I find this?
Find all of this and yeah. So the videos will be, so as the videos are done, here under research guides, if you type in workshops, it's this first one, this library workshops, and I'll make these links so that the videos and everything will be there. And then the workshops that we did last semester, I'm working on putting them here, I just haven't put them there yet. But also, they are available through the graduate office. So if I go to graduate studies, they are making them available down here under the events. So there's our literature review one there. So that one is listed there. And as more of them come up, they will put them in there as they finish editing them. So they'll show up here. These also are coming out of the Learning Technologies YouTube channel. And so all of our last year ones are still on that Learning Technologies YouTube channel. But we'll make them all linked out there. Does that help? Any other questions? Thank you for coming today. Good luck, and just remember, we're here to help. That's what librarians do. We don't just check out books. We don't just tell you to be quiet in a library. We're here to help you as you're working on things.
We like it.
You like that?
Yeah, great job.
Okay. Well, thank you.